pushing a function, you get a diode. You get on the umbilical cord. We'll go to the back. They're red LED lights. Every function you press should light up. You can't see them, but we'll turn on the truck later. If I do boom down, boom, 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 let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. If I do boom down, this actuates, right? Up, down, it doesn't matter. If I swing it, this is still going to move.
Yeah.
Yep. So, I don't get me wrong. This may be down. That may be up. Vice versa.
This is
whatever.
This is down.
Okay. So, okay, up this way. If I do boom up, you're going to get a red LED light here. If I do down, it's supposed to be on the other side. So, you will know if this is sending a signal to the truck itself. So if I do boom up, that should light up, right? When we have the power on. Most of the time, let's say for instance, if you want to troubleshoot your button itself, you can change your signals. Let's say if I want to change the boom left or boom right. I'm gonna grab this boom right. So I'm gonna take that one and then put it on my boom up. Now I hit boom right. It should move my boom up. Easiest way to figure out if your remote's actually working or not. Change them. That function, that cord is still going to stay the same as your output here, but then you can now say move that one over there, change this boom right is now going to be your boom up, and then if your boom right moves your boom up,
you know it's a remote.
Yeah, you know it's your remote. So I know it's weird, but give me a call and I'll explain it to you again. I get guys all the time like that. This truck does operate at 2,000 psi. When we turn the truck on, this is the first thing I'm going to look at. If you're yes, the truck can see a couple of spikes, but if you're operating all day long over 2,000 psi, it's a problem. You're going to grenade your PTO. PTOs is a blue little pump. This is something for Pete. This blue little pump attached to the PTO itself underneath the truck. And you will notice when you grenade it, because there's going to be hydraulic fluid leaking out of it. And if you grenade it, it's because you operated over 2,000 psi. Easiest way to look. Let's say, for instance, you call me and say, Anthony, my boom up is not going. It's super slow. It's like creeping along. All my other functions, yeah, they're good. They're solid. The most energy this truck takes is your boom up. You need that 1,800 psi to move that thing, not everything else. I'm going to tell you, well, what is your pressure reading on your hydraulic system? 1, 2, 3, 4. Vacuum breaker. Always going to ask you to do vacuum breaker because it's the shortest stroke of the truck itself. Do you know what the vacuum breaker is? So we'll go around to the other side. Vacuum breaker, shortest stroke of the truck. And less strain on the truck too. Because I'm not going to ask you to raise your boom up and what is your pressure spiking out at. This is your vacuum breaker. If you look at here, there's a flat flange, which is already all the way up. There's a flat flange, gasket, and then you have this. You see the flat flange? You got the piston, the rod itself, and then a flat flange. That's your vacuum breaker. That's what's creating your vacuum. If you hit an E-stop, that's supposed to open up. But hydraulics, to test your hydraulics, I'm going to ask you to actuate the vacuum breaker. Again, it's driven by hydraulic motor, the piston itself, a flat plate, rubber gasket, and then this. The rubber gasket's a D-ring gasket, just sits in a little housing in there. I'm going to say, well, hold down your vacuum breaker. Say, oh, okay, I'm not getting any boom up. First thing I'm going to ask you to do, count your vacuum breaker. It should be 4 over. Hold it down. What is it spiking out at? He says, well, it's only spiking out at 700, 600. That's your problem right there. Again, you're going to notice the boom up has slowed down because now you've indicated and told me you're only getting max PSI at 2,000 PSI. So then I'll tell you, well, there's going to be some Teflon that shook itself loose in the whole truck. I mean, you see how many hydraulic hoses we got through this whole thing. So again, you say, okay, yes, we indicated that it is 700 PSI. Or if you have maxed out your pump at over 2,000 PSI, this is the application. You're going to want to get a set of Allen wrenches for every truck too. Hex head, or I think it's going to be, I'd get both metric and ANSI. Yeah. There is a Allen head here. This is what you're going to want to do to change your pressure. There's an Allen head here. This is only a dust cap. Remove this Allen head. Don't mess with any of this. Remove that Allen head dust cap. Place it here. There is another Allen head behind this section here, which is your cartridge. That is a pressure relief cartridge. By going counterclockwise, you relieve pressure. So what you're going to want to do if you want to clean the port, because if you have 700 PSI, there's a blockage somewhere. There's a blockage somewhere in here. Take this Allen head out, turn, rotate counterclockwise to relieve the spring pressure, and then again, hold down your vacuum breaker. That will pump fluid out. You may not see trash, but trash will come out. Then you now relieve the pressure. You've relieved the trash inside of this cartridge. You're going to want to hold down your vacuum breaker again, tighten it up to, I would say, about 1900 PSI, and then let it go. Watch it for the remainder of the day to make sure nothing else has broken itself loose to cause you to spike. I get guys calling me all the time. You told me to change it to 2000 PSI, 1900 PSI. I grenaded another pump. I said, well, did you watch your pressure throughout the day? No, I didn't. Well, you probably worked over 2000 PSI, you're probably close to 3. They get it on, they test it again. First thing they do is they test it because this cartridge is still in the same position. Oh yeah, you're right, I was working at 3000 PSI for the day. Oh, that's why. So again, 2000 PSI, watch it for the remainder of the day, you should be good. Every once in a while, come back here and test it and look, but that's how you do it. Then obviously put your dust cap back on. That's your hydraulics itself. Can't tell you much more about it. Let's see. We talked about this already. This is a unibody tank, 1,600 gallons of fresh water. You can see the split level here and then here. This is your water capacity, 1,600 gallons. Just because you lose the first 2 sight glasses doesn't mean you're half. This capacity starts getting really big down here. So I would say, I think 500, 12, this may be 1,200. Oh, this may be 500, 900, 1,200, and then 16. It's something weird.
Bottoms,
yeah, exactly. Just shy of 13 cubic yard debris capacity, slope floor. I'm curious to see what the tank, the push plate looks like. Coming around to the rear, looks like they've added 2 ball valves because they didn't know how to look at the system itself. So it looks like there should only be 1 ball valve here. Looks like they got 2 for both the return and the supply. So I'm guessing you have to open them both.
Yeah.
So technically we only have 1. So what's happening here is there's probably some bleed back in the line, so they went ahead and capped the other one off. Technically you're only supposed to have 1 on the supply. Either way, these ball valves help you from accidentally dumping on site. You're not supplying power, you're not supplying fluid to the cylinder. You don't accidentally hit that button, open this up. So if you do, when you do want to dump, you're going to want to supply hydraulic fluid to your tank, to your cylinder by opening these up. Swing your valve, swing your door catch open, and then you can open up your debris tank. I do recommend for the vertically challenged people that they do take these off first, because when that door is up, it's hard to get to. So take these off. These pins do slide into here, and obviously the biggest thing is when you're going to wash it off, you're going to want to put them in there. Biggest thing I can tell you is take them off before you close the door. You will bend these. And once you bend them, you start messing with the offset of the door itself. So remember, take them off before you close the door. Coming around to the side, and boom turret here. I think I've talked to you, Christine. I think Pete already knows. Up there at the top, the way the airstream works is you're coming from your boom hose up and around. It hits the turret itself. That bar that you see above that tie-off point, that rectangle bar, that white rectangle bar, that is the built-in impact plate. It's one huge weldment. There's another small rectangle bar in front of it, which is what we call the inspection port. You open up that small inspection port and you can look down at the impact plate. Material's coming in, it hits that impact plate. Technically it's supposed to slow the material down, and then it falls into the retard. So the impact, again, is one weldment, flat, and then it comes down to the turret, and then the material drops into the retard. That is a wearable component. Pete can take that off, weld a new plate on there, and stick it back in. That would be one thing I would also recommend, is throw one on the side. When you get some time, go ahead and weld that one up. Have it ready for the next one that's going to be impacted. So again, it's going to fall into the material. Well, then the airstream then goes up. You got a float ball. You have two float balls inside. This one should be a 12-inch stainless steel ball. If you get too much capacity, it's supposed to float up and then suck off the airstream. The airstream then goes to the top of the Cyclone, which is this Cyclone itself. Heavy materials are supposed to fall out here. The light materials are supposed to go in here and then get captured by the filter itself. Another daily thing is you're going to want to check and clean those filters. Run just water, turn on your pump, no valves, low pressure. Just clean them off. Clean them off, dry them off. Normally for operators, I say have two sets of filters. Clean this one off, set it aside, put the other one that you cleaned the day before on. If you get water in there, it still kind of suffocates the filters. This is not a paper filter. This is more of a poly filter, so never go to the paper filters. We don't sell those. There's another manufacturer, Wix. It's a straight paper filter. If somebody from like Napa comes by and says, "Hey, I have filters for these," I say, "I rep Wix," kick them off the yard. So do not get a paper filter for these. Yes, you'll save yourself maybe 120 bucks, but again, you're going to be buying those probably 3 times over one of these. What we have here is your silencers. You got cool air coming in at the top. On the lower silencer, you have the exhaust itself, which you can see right here. There's an exhaust stack. If you lose your rain cap, get a new one, because if not, you got water coming in. Water's going to be settling in here, and then water's going to be flowing down to the opposite side and making its way back into the blower. The blower itself is a finely tuned, finely machined piece of metal. It's got 2 lobes that spin in rotation against each other, very thin lips. You're talking about thousandths of an inch clearance. Spinning, rotating, you get rust, anything like that, it's going to lock it up. So one thing that you will want to do, another daily application, is before you shut down at the end of the day, you come to the yard, you park it, you're going to want to turn your blower back on. I'm not sure if anybody explained this to y'all, but this is the diesel clean out, the diesel flush. Turn on your blower, don't do it when it's hot. That's what I say. When you come back here, turn it on. Before you park it, turn on your blower. Hold this down for about 5 seconds. It pulls diesel from your tanks, shoots it into your blower, and cleans out all that that water, the residual water that is left throughout the day. Because if you come in here let's say a long weekend. Some people don't work on Columbus days, and if you were to come in on a Tuesday, this could have been rusted if you had a wet application on a Friday. It doesn't take much to.
So what do you have to do again?
Turn on your blower when it's cool. Turn on your blower. You literally just crank this ball valve open for about 5 seconds. It's gonna pull diesel up, and then you're done. That's all it's doing. Yeah, it's pulling the diesel up. It's burning off that water in there, burning off any other materials that could be stuck in there, and it's not allowing the water to be stagnant. So, 2 extensions. I see that y'all do use these quite a bit. 6-inch extensions. You do have an air package on this. This is your air lance. Coming here on the side, let's say for instance you have, Pete's going to want to know, he's probably seen it already, if you do have a hydraulic leak on the back, on our side, these are your shutoff valves here, so you don't continue to dump on site. So you're going to come over here, dump them. The site gauge also acts as a temperature thermometer itself, even though that the site gauge, you can see there's hydraulic fluid in it, but again, it does act as a readout for your temperature. You can see another sensors there at the top for the hydraulic tank. And then coming along to this side is going to be your daily, monthly, weekly intervals for your fluids. Technically, you shouldn't have to call me and ask me what kind of fluid is in your transfer case, what kind of fluid is in your pump, what kind of fluid do we use in our blower. Everything's listed here along with ours. If you call me and tell me you cannot go from road mode to work mode, you're sitting there in the field, you just got on job site, you try to engage your blower. You wait your 15 seconds to engage your truck, you're in neutral, you try to go to 4-4. 4-4 is what I call work mode. So drive is going to be 6-1. That's how you're going to start off. Over the road is 6-1. Work mode is going to be 4-4. That work mode, blower mode. Some people use the same verbiage, different verbiage. If you're turning on your vacuum blower itself, it's work mode, 4-4. If you flip that blower switch, you wait your seconds like you're supposed to. You hear everything trying to engage, but the blower does not spin, and you see 6-1 again. And you try it again. You turn it off. You try it again. This is one relay that tells the truck, hey, I need to go from road mode to work mode. I need to go from work mode to road mode. Again, same thing. If you're in 4-4, you're trying to go to 6-1, then it's probably the same relay. Another component that I would say, go ahead and put it in the door panel itself. Once you hit that switch on the blower, it sends a signal to this relay. This relay then sends a signal to the transfer case shift piston. That shift piston then sends 120 pounds of pressure to the shift fork. Shift your shift fork from your rear axle to now a different gear inside your transfer case to engage the top axle for the blower drive shaft. This does a lot. This is a $10 component from AutoZone. This will keep you down all day and wondering why you can't, or have you thinking that you're not engaging your truck correctly. A $10 part from Napa. Again, it works in the same instance. If you're in 4-4 blower mode, you want to get off job site, you want to go to 6-1, you're stuck, it's probably this relay. So again, that relay is sending a signal to the shifter inside your transfer case. When you're hearing that loud clunk, that's pressure hitting a shift piston, moving a shift fork from one gear set to the other gear set. What's happening is that's not getting that signal, relieving the pressure to shift back and forth. So that's really it.